Good afternoon and welcome to another session of the Veterans Forum. Today, the 24th of September, 2007, we're at the TV studios of Pittsfield Community Television here in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And as you know, we have the honor and the privilege to interview people who have served in any branch of the services who want to share their stories with us. Today, George Moran is going to let us know what he did and how he did it. For the record, George, would you pronounce your name, spell your last name, please?
Sure. My name is George L. Moran. My last name is M-O-R-A-N.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Bob.
What was your years of service, active duty and then branch of service, if you will?
I was United States Navy Reserve, and my active duty dates were September 21st of 1965 to September 20th of 1967.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, to kind of build up, if you will, a little history. Tell us where were you born, when, and what was life like growing up before you went into the service?
Well, I was born in Elmira, New York, which is in the southern tier of New York, below the Finger Lakes of New York, on December 2nd, 1946. And it was exactly a year to the date from the date my dad left Antwerp, Belgium from World War II. He left on December 2nd of 45, and I was born December 2nd of 46. So I guess I am a true baby boomer. You know?
Fast shuttle service,
yeah.
huh? Yeah. Okay, what did you do when you were growing up? Schooling and that kind of stuff, sports, any activities?
Well, I grew up in a family of 6 kids. So there was a lot of activity around the house, but I enjoyed playing baseball, football. I was active in doing stuff at school. Basically, you know, typical kid. Did a lot of fishing and a lot of hunting growing up in that neck of the woods because it was all great hunting down there and fishing, you know. And, you know, did the typical things a kid did. I started working when I was 12 years old as a caddy. My brother was a caddy and a caddy master at the country club, and he sneaked me in. I was underage. I wasn't supposed to be caddying, but... And I worked at that job all the way up through high school.
Every summer?
Every summer, and I became caddy master and then pro shop manager my last year there.
So you went from a bag rat to a pro.
Yeah, to,
like
to the pro shop. Yeah.
That's the way I made some of my money. The only trouble is, at the end of the year, when we had to pay up for the summers, it always came out that the guy that ran the camp had $15 of our money left, and we never got that big pile of bucks that they talked about.
Right.
Well, what prompted you to join the Navy, if you will? Any ideas? Any real feeling?
As I said, we were talking before, my brother was in the Navy, and he joined in 1960 and served through 64. He was down in Memphis, Tennessee, and went to school down there, and then got transferred to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And that's where he did his stint. He ended up in Armed Forces radio type of thing as a journalist.
Oh, good.
He ran a radio station at Guantanamo Bay for the Armed Forces part of it. And you know, it's just interesting what he was doing. And then I talked to my dad about it, and my dad said, "Well, don't go in the Army." He said, "I can give you advice right now." He said, "Go in the Navy. They got good food. You're going to get 3 square meals a day. You'll get a clean sheet underneath you every night, and you won't have to sleep in the foxhole." So, and he said, plus they have a lot of different jobs that you'll be able to do rather than what they do in the Army. So, that was what prompted me to go in, and that's where it started from. I joined on my 17th birthday. My dad and mom gave me permission and signed me, my way into the reserves. So I joined on my birthday. I was 17 years old, December 2nd of 1963.
Do you have any choice as to what branch or type of training you wanted from boot camp on? When did you hit boot camp?
Boot camp, I went right away. I went December 22nd of 63. I took the train from Elmira, New York, with a bunch of other guys that were going to boot camp, and we picked up guys along the way. And I served boot camp December 23rd, I guess we arrived here 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
The first time away from home. And
Where'd boot? Great Lakes?
Great Lakes, Camp Dewey at Great Lakes, Illinois. Yeah. And that was an experience. It's 28 below zero on some nights, or a couple of nights. Cold out there watching what they call dipsy dumpsters. We had dumpster watches.
Oh.
And we'd have to stand there and guard the dumpsters, you know, and it was freezing. I can remember we used to have to hang our clothes up in boot camp with clothes stops, tie square knots to hang them up, and they were frozen, you know, in the barracks, inside the barracks.
Wow. No fire watch?
No, well,
I'll withdraw the question.
you couldn't prove it by me, you know. But it was cold there. It was cold. Also in the morning when you had to go out into the drill field to march to chow, it was pretty cold.
So you thawed the clothes out as you walked?
Yeah, that's about it, you know. We used to take them down and dry them out on the end of our racks sometime when they allowed us to. But it was an interesting adventure at boot camp. We got out of there in the end of January. So it was an experience, a real experience.
Just the classic close order drill and learning all about the Navy, or what? Anything special that you either liked or disliked that sticks with you?
Well, the one thing that stuck with me was I smoked at the time, and I had a pack of cigarettes in my jumper pocket, and I marched to chow one day, and I forgot to take my cigarettes out because you weren't supposed to have anything in your pockets. And I got up to chow line. There was a chief standing there, and he looked at me, and he took his hand and he flipped the cigarettes out of my jumper pocket, and he said, you know, you don't have to worry about eating. He said, you can go back to your barracks. So I missed chow that day, and that was the last time I think I missed chow in the Navy.
Did you quit smoking at the same time?
No, I didn't quit smoking, but I no longer carried anything in my jumper pocket.
Okay.
You know, I learned a lesson from that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there was a lot of other things there. They taught us a lot about first aid and you know, tying knots and ship nomenclature, and we went through damage control drills. We, you know, have to go through fire control. We'd have to go into fight a fire and go into the smokehouse, and it was in the tear gas. You know, they'd take the gas mask off, and they'd throw a canister of tear gas in this, lock you in this like a Quonset hut, and that was interesting. You know, different things like that. But it prepared us for, you know, possibly what could happen to us.
Yeah.
You know, the worst case scenarios.
They always seem to have a good reason for doing it, but when they jump on you right at the outset. Now, for example, did you have to have abandoned ship drill, you know, the 40-foot tower?
Yes, we did that too.
How many guys made it?
I think just about everybody, maybe one or two didn't in our company. We had about 60 guys in our company at that time, but I think about one or two couldn't. You know, that was scary, jumping off that tower. And then some guys couldn't swim. There was a couple guys that couldn't swim out of that bunch, and I think they.
But they still jumped.
They still jumped.
Oh, yeah.
They still jumped. They got them out of the pool all right, though.
Yeah, we had. Oh God, what a memory!
Yeah, that was scary. Yeah, you brought back some stuff to me there, Bob.
There was one guy, we call him Kansas, and he obviously came from Kansas. We call him Flatland. And he got up on the edge, and they were going to push him. But you could just see him, the whole place was kind of quiet. Said, my God, I'm going to die!
Yeah.
And off he went. Oh, when he hit, you almost evaporated the pool, but he did it, and boy, he was a proud puppy. Now, what did you then go after boot? What kind of training did you take?
Well, basically after boot, I came back home and just went to drills on a weekly basis on a Monday night to the reserve center. I was in a paid drill status, and I got paid for some of them, and the other ones, I basically went up there to find out more about what I was going to be doing, you know. And occasionally I'd go up on my own and drill with them. Yeah.
Now, we were talking earlier about some of the chances or options you had as to the kind of training you really wanted. And can you give us a little story about that? Because that was interesting, I thought.
Yeah, my chief came down and he had to fill out educational forms and all this thing, and he was asking me what I might be interested in as far as school, and I he gave me my test scores for my initial scores, and he said, here's what you're qualified to do. You might want to think about some of these schools. So I looked at the list. There was a radioman, a hospital corpsman school, and I can't remember the other schools, but those are the two schools that really interested me. And I put in for those schools, but the billets were filled at that time. Oh. So I would have had to wait a few months to go to those schools. And they were longer schools. I forget, there were probably a couple months involved in each of those schools, at least a minimum of 2 months. And so the chief let me know that those schools were filled, but he came back and let me know a couple weeks later, and then he said, well, there is one school that's open that you can get into. You know, he said it's a postal clerk school, and they're going to be starting in March. So he said, if you're interested, you know, you can sign up for that. So I did that, and that's the school I got. Good. You know. And in between that, I went on an active duty cruise down in Norfolk, and I was on a destroyer tender, the USS Tidewater, and that helped a lot as far as becoming more comfortable with, you know, being in the Navy, in the Navy Reserve, because gave me the opportunity to have training on, you know, general knowledge of the ship and so forth, you know, what it'd be like. So, and like I said, it was the first experiences away from home, and it was interesting, you know.
Now, when did you get, if you will, a permanent assignment? See back here, the DD 863. When did you report aboard there, and what was your function or your duty?
Well, I went to school, like I said, in March of '65. I went to a 38-day school. Came back home, went into the Reserve Center, back to drills again, and then I got my orders for active duty, which was September 21st of 1965, and I left for Brooklyn Navy Yard, and that's where I got assigned my ship. I was assigned to the USS Steinecker DD 863, and I became the ship's postal clerk.
Good.
Yeah, I was a seaman at the time. Striking for that rate.
That first rank, yeah.
Yeah, I was a seaman, yeah. And they gave me the designation of postal clerk, and I ran the ship's post office,
now,
which is interesting.
Earlier you showed me the little brochure as to how your ship got its name. Would you read that? I'd like the people to hear something like that. It's very good, I think.
This is from when I went aboard ship. It's from 1963, and I kept this as one of the few things I had that I was able to keep. And it's, the USS Steinecker was a converted DD Gearing class long-haul destroyer. It was commissioned in 1945, towards the end of World War II. The ship is named in honor of Private First Class Donald Bauer Steinecker. He was a United States Marine Corps Reserve who was killed at the age of 20 during the early campaign of Guadalcanal. As a member of the 1st Raider Battalion, Steinecker participated in a violent battle against overwhelming Japanese forces. During the morning of 8 October 1942, 59 Japanese were killed in the battle that took the lives of 12 Marines. Private Steinecker refused to leave his position and died heroically defending it. For this action, he was posthumously awarded the Navy Cross, which really, you know, says something. And the ship, he deserved that honor. He definitely deserved that honor.
A proud ship and a proud sponsor.
It certainly was.
Yeah. It's a heck of a price to pay to have a boat named after you, though.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Okay, now,
he paid the price.
Where did you have your duty, your tours as such, as the PO?
Well, I was like I said, I was a ship's postal clerk, and in port in the United States, I used to have to open up the ship's post office from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. 9 o'clock until 1600, as they say in the Navy, and then in between I would have to make a mail run in the morning. I would go over and pick up the incoming mail for the ship, sort it out to the different divisions, have mail call, and then I was open for business for the rest of the day for the selling of stamps or money orders, mailing parcels. And then in the afternoon, after the post office closed, I would take the mail over to the base post office to dispatch all the outgoing mail while we were in port.
So 1600 wasn't really the end of the day for
No,
you. That's
no.
just when they couldn't get
That's
at you.
right. The post office closed at 1600, and then I would have to hit the beach to make my mail run to take all the mail over and get it to the base post office to get it out to all the families. You know, that morale mail,
yeah.
they called
Hey,
it.
That was the biggest thing, boy. A letter from home, even if it's just a two-liner.
Yep, it meant a lot.
That was it.
It
Now,
meant a lot.
You showed me something also that you talked about your skipper and some of the exchanges that he and you had while you were down there in the galley, I believe, or in the ship post office making sandwiches. You
Well,
yeah, okay, get it out.
Well, I wasn't supposed to be. Let's put it that way.
Okay, supposed to be doesn't
I
count.
wasn't supposed to be. I had the ship's post office open. I was selling stamps and performing the duties I was supposed to, but I had a little sideline, you know, in between waiting on customers to make sandwiches from stuff that my mom used to send me. She'd send me care packages with peanut butter and jelly and tuna fish and, you know, other canned
All the
goods.
goodies.
Yeah, all the goodies, you know, and candy and stuff like that. So I used to make sandwiches in my spare time while I was waiting in the post office, and I'd make sandwiches up and I'd give them out to the guys, you know.
Okay, freebies.
Freebies, yeah. And you know, they like stuff from home, and they shared with me, so why not share with them? So I was making tuna fish sandwiches this one day, and the captain snuck up behind me, and I had never really talked to him except to salute him, you know, and to say hello, good morning, you know.
Yes,
but
sir.
Good morning, sir, and salute him. But he snuck up behind me that day because he was there to buy stamps, and I'm making sandwiches. And evidently he had heard about it, that I was down there making sandwiches for the guys, and he asked me how much one would be, how much a tuna fish sandwich would cost, and I turned around and I said, "Nothing for you, sir." I handed it to him, but and he had a good sense of humor, really good guy, good captain, and he just let me know that day that the morale was the mail, and the ship's mail had to be there because the morale of the ship depended on it. And he said, "You're probably got one of the more important jobs on the ship, believe it or not." And you know, I didn't think about it until that day, until he said it. And you know, it was really nice hearing that from him. And I had a great rapport with the old man, you know, with the captain.
Sure.
And he was a really a good leader because he cared about his men and he could communicate without being, you know, hard-nosed or making people feel fearful of him. You know, he was a regular human being. You know.
Well, that's that old bit about you get what you give.
Right.
It's corny, but it's true.
He treated us well when we were out at sea too. He told us, as long as you're neat and clean and everything is covered, you can don't have to worry about changing into the uniform in a day after 1,600 hours at sea. So we were able to stay in dungarees without changing into you know, undress blues.
Undress, yeah.
Yeah. So that, you know, that was a little plus.
Oh,
you know, more comfortable out at sea. So you know, that's the type of guy he was.
Now, what's some of your cruises like? Your submarine duties and that kind of stuff.
Well, we were anti-submarine warfare ship. We were what they call a sub-tracker, sub-killer. Like I said, the Seinacher was recommissioned after it was a radar picket ship to a destroyer again, and it was fitted with all the technological gear, intelligence gear, plus rockets and missiles. ASROC missiles, and they were test fired when we were off the coast of the Azores, and they hit their target on the button from about 800 miles away. So
there was a full crew or reserve crew? No,
we had full Navy crew.
Okay.
We had 290 men on a ship with officers and crew. Plus we had helicopter on there, which was remote controlled helicopter that had torpedoes on it, which we tested on different targets, you know, where you could drop those on submarines. So it was pretty interesting. We were off the coast of Gibraltar. We tracked the Russian sub for 3 days. We were at general quarters.
Oh.
So my general quarters station was up in radar room, radar shack, and I used to have to sit there with earphones on and take messages from the other ships that were with us and transpose those into a record and then give those to the radar men. But that was interesting. We were at General Quarters for 3 days straight, tracking that Russian sub, and we finally brought him up. It was a World War II conventional sub, and he had to come back up to charge his batteries and get some air.
And you just waited for him.
Yeah, we waited for him and tracked him. Not us alone, but we had help, from the other destroyers in the squadron, and finally brought him up. And those were the war games of the '60s, over in the Atlantic and the Mediterranean. And he signaled us with a light, and he said, "You won." And he went back down, and we left.
Take a deep breath and dive.
Start over again, So it was pretty interesting.
Now, anything else along that line that you have some good memories or some questionable memories about what you did? Some of the guys, as far as the morale about the boat and that.
Well, it was like I said, we steamed a lot. Well, I was on there for 2 years, and out of the 2 years, we were gone for probably 13, 14 months of steaming overseas. I went on 2 Mediterranean cruises on that boat, and also a Red Sea cruise, the Persian Gulf, and down into Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia.
Well, this is long before the present mess then.
Yes, but at the time they had problems over there then because of the different problems with the sheiks over there and the different oil domes, the sheik domes.
Yeah.
And we pulled into Aden, and we had to pull right back out again because they were trying to overthrow the tribal sheik there was trying to overthrow someone else in there, and they were firing machine guns on the pier.
Ooh.
So the captain, we backed off and didn't go in, into Aden at the time. That was an interesting thing. They were throwing hand grenades and machine guns were firing when we pulled in there. So I found that the Mideast was very, very strange over there. And I also found out a lot of other things about myself over there. I went to the airport in Karachi, Pakistan. The Air Force had to pick me up and take me in the back of a pickup. And I had dress whites on, and by the time I got to the airport, they were dress browns with the dirt, and it was filthy over there. There were, the camels were behind us, and I'm sitting in the back of the pickup truck, and the spit's coming out of the camels, and I mean,
they get you?
No, they didn't get me, but it's just, it was ugly. Dirty, stinky, poor. People begging in the streets, people dying in the streets from starvation. I got to the airport there, and I think the signs, there was a sign there, different signs pointing arrows, New York City or New York,
2,000 miles away.
9,872 miles, Cochin, India was the same way, very poverty-stricken countries. People, my feeling was that they weren't really living; they were just surviving. I know one thing. When we got back to the States, we pulled into Norfolk. The flag was flying on the pier. The band was playing, and George and a lot of other guys tears were running down their faces because we were happy to get back to the States. The best country in the world.
I know.
That's the way we felt.
Why would the Air Force pick you up? Did you give you a shuttle to or from the airport?
Yeah, the Navy
post office or something?
Well, the Navy didn't have a command there in Karachi, so the Air Force had a logistics command there, and they came down to help us out by taking us wherever we needed to go over there.
A helicopter or a fixed wing?
No, it was just a transportation, ground transportation to get us to
the duster.
To get us to where we were going. Same thing when I was in port over there. I had to go to the ports overseas in France, Italy, Spain, or any country we were in. I had to rely on either Navy transportation or other military transportation or civilian transportation if it was available. I had to take a train from Marseille, France, up to Nice to pick up, to deliver, registered mail, which was carried secret mail a lot of times. I didn't know what I was carrying.
Any pouch mail?
Yes,
Handcuff and all that
with
kind
locks
of
on
stuff.
it, handcuffed to me. And I got on a train at Marseille to go up to Nice. I couldn't speak French, so they made out a card in there. I have it in my book in there that's in French to, designates that I am a Navy postal clerk for the USS Steinecker. But I couldn't speak French. This French Army guy gets on next to me and sits down next to me, and I couldn't speak French, he couldn't speak English. He opens up a sack and he had a bottle of wine and some bread and cheese in there, and offered me some, and we communicated fine.
Yeah,
as far as I was
bottle and any guy can communicate.
As far as I was concerned, we
yeah.
were communicating fine. We got along well the rest of the trip, without saying too much to each other.
Yeah.
And we both shook hands. So when I left the train and
Good.
and parted,
So,
So yeah, there was a lot
what was
of
your
different.
feeling of the, as you say, some of the poor real people? Did you guys on the ship ever kind of, if you will, offload stuff that you didn't need, in quotes, the dockside, let some other people have some of it?
I've got a couple of pictures there of, over in India. It reminds me of that. We were not able to go into port there. They didn't have any dockage for us, any piers or docks here for us, so we had to anchor out, and we couldn't get rid of our garbage. So what happened was these boats would come along and take our garbage.
And they'd fight for it.
We dumped the garbage over, they would separate the food in different cans, the meat and different, potatoes or vegetables, whatever they picked out of our garbage. That was really sad. It was really sad. There was one little girl in this boat that had a tambourine, and she was dancing, and they were begging for anything. So particularly soap and any type of food stuff, they would really love. So I went down to my locker and I had like 6 bars of soap down there. I always went to ship store and stocked up on soap and stuff like that. So I went down and got the soap and threw it over. And you would think I'd was throwing bars of gold bullion over the side. They were so happy to get that. Really, those things really had an impact on me when I was there.
That's the stuff that a lot of people will never know about.
Right.
Just the guy like you and me who were there and saw it. Like it wasn't controlled news releases. These were people that you had to help no matter what.
Right, and these people are literally dying in the streets from starvation and disease. It was really an eye-opener for me, and I realize how lucky we are in this country, to be Americans.
But there's still some of that in our own country too, some of the parts of it.
Well, I know.
That's the bad part. It's universal hunger doesn't have any particular nationality.
Right.
People are starving, they need help.
It's true, anywhere in the world. It's true.
We had the same, this is yours, but we had the same thing in Shanghai. We had and the bumboats would come alongside, they'd fire hose them to keep them away, but after a while, you get to know 1 or 2 of them, if you will.
Right.
But it just offload the garbage, a bag of clothes, you'd rather than wash it, throw it away.
Right.
As you said, this was gold. But then you went ashore along the Bund, and in the morning there was maybe 5 or 6 crews that just go back and forth with carts.
Right.
Pick up the bodies.
Yeah, it's
And you're
sad.
talking,
I saw a lot of that over there.
it's scary.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Now, were you just in the Atlantic, or did you ever get around to the canal up in the Pacific at all?
No, I just went through the Suez. That was an experience too. When we went through the Suez, it took us a couple days through the Suez Canal, and I remember a big Russian freighter in there, and they had women stevedores unloading those ships.
Big Russian sea.
Yeah, big Russian gals, to unload those ships. I had never seen anything like that. And at the same time, you could watch the camels going along the side of the canal with the caravans of camels. It's an experience that most people never get to see.
You don't have that in Elmira.
No, we didn't have that. We had the Seneca Locks and the Erie Canal, but nothing like that. It was interesting. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to cheat.
Sure.
You showed me something here about your captain.
Yeah.
I'd like to read that to the people.
Well, that's a cruise boat there. That's a Mediterranean cruise.
There's the gal. Can you get a good shot of that? A lot of the tin can guys would like to see something like that. Any stories you want to talk about that?
Well, like I said, my compartment where I slept on ship was back here in the aft part of the ship. I don't know if you can pick that up or not, but that was right in front of the rear gun mount. We had gun mount, twin guns on the back and twin guns on the front, 5-inch 38 guns, and then like I said, we had ASROC missiles up above and torpedoes. But it was interesting when we were sleeping. If we were steaming at 30 knots out there, the aft end of the ship would come out of the water and hit, and you were sleeping. That would kind of wake you up. Of course, our racks were 3 high, and they were separated about this high, from each other. So there wasn't much room there. I had the top rack. I chose the top rack to be a little bit safer.
Oh yeah, safer and cleaner.
Yes, a lot cleaner.
You didn't share lunch with somebody else down below deck.
That's right. That's right.
Oh God, what memories!
There was like 30 guys in our compartment, tiny compartment, and when you put all that laundry, dirty laundry, in a laundry bin, and you got 30 guys there together, that can get kind of. What's a proper word for it?
Yeah, potent.
Yeah, potent's a good word for it, Bob. Potent's a good word.
It was impotent.
Yeah. Well, we ran out of we ran into problems where we made our own fresh water naturally, and that equipment broke down, so we couldn't take showers, and you get kind of ripe after a couple of days without that, And we couldn't go swimming at the time over in the Red Sea because of the sharks and the sea snakes. They wouldn't let you go swimming without being safe. So there's a lot of sharks and sea snakes. I know that, poisonous sea snakes.
I know. Now, when did you make third class?
I made third class not until 1966 on board ship.
Okay.
I had to study manuals and all that stuff, and it took a while. Yeah, I finally made third class.
Okay.
And
so second up there too, didn't you?
Yeah, I made second when I got out. Yeah, before I got out. But you were asking me about the captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, sir.
He was a great guy. He had quite a career too from reading it, but he was a real good guy.
This is not secret, but it's kind of interesting. I'll try and read it, if you will.
Sure.
The commanding officer of the ship is Commander John Tice III, who assumed command on 8 December 1965. Commander Tice had served several tours of duty, two district tours, and one on the staff of Commander Destroyer Squadron 8 in the Atlantic Fleet, and on the staff of the Commander Carrier Division 7 in the Pacific. The commander attended the University of Cincinnati in Ohio and graduated from the University of South Carolina in 1945. He's married to the former Miss Mary Davenport of Miami, Florida. They have 3 children and reside in Vienna, Virginia. His unique style of leadership and his individual wit to those who served under him are mementos of a good cruise, a good job, well done. Thank you. Now, I'm sandbagging you, buddy.
That's okay. You can do that.
No,
I've been there before, Bob.
Okay. I don't know whether you can get this, but George can tell you the story that goes along with this particular photograph.
That was a meeting between the captain and myself at a ship's party we had in Marseille, France, which lasted 2 days. We had port side went on the first day and starboard side went on the second day. Meaning liberty. There's 2 liberty sides, port and starboard liberty. And I happened to be there on the first night with Captain Tice, and I just wanted to ask him some questions about the mail, and the conversation turned into probably about an hour and a half of discussion with him about all kinds of different things. That's the type of guy he was, and he talked to me just like we're sitting here talking right now, Bob.
Yeah. So
that's the type of leader that he was, and and you have a leader like that, you don't mind following.
That's absolutely, absolutely. The thing that George and I were talking about before, it seems that they may have had 1 or 2 beers during their conversation. Is that a good way to put it, buddy?
Well, I think there's a few mixed drinks that exchanged there.
The ginger ale went bad or something.
The ginger ale was awful.
Okay. Let's get into this for a little bit, because you got so much good stuff. That, would you take off and give us a song and dance?
Well, this is just a book that I started. You know, I haven't completed it yet. It's a progress in works, but on the back of my discharge, I wrote these down. They're all the ports that I visited, and these are different certificates.
I'll hold it up. I'm a good holder up, and then you can give us a
believe it or not,
run around.
I kept this. This was given to me when I graduated from high school, and this meant so much to me that I had never read this before, and I had never seen it before. It's called The American's Creed. I don't know if you want me to read it or not.
Yeah. Made that impression on you. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's The American's Creed, and it was by William Tyler Page. It says, "I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies." And it was presented to me with congratulations upon high school graduation by Howard Robinson, who was a member of Congress, the 33rd District of New York, which, I kept that, and there must have been a reason for me keeping it, because I dug it out, and it really means a lot to me today, It
gives you something to think about. And also, it's a good motivation as to why you did what you did in the service.
Yeah, it helps also remind me that all the veterans that served before me and what they did for me, means a lot more. When I read this, it means a lot more. What my dad did and what you guys did. What all you World War II vets did.
All the old guys.
Well, you were the greatest generation. That's why I'm here today.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Now, anything else you'd like to kind of walk through here?
Well, there's just a certificate in there that was given to my dad upon my joining the reserves. I don't think I have to read that, but I know it meant a lot to my dad. And so I kept it. When my dad passed away, I was able to retrieve that from my.
Good.
This is, like I said, the postcard I had that was written in French or typed up in French by the yeoman on ship and signed by our XO to tell the people over there in France that I was a Navy postal clerk. And I was there for the purpose of getting our mail. It's my diploma from Class A Postal Clerk School, and this is my certificate when I made 3rd class aboard ship, signed by the captain of the ship, and it's a picture of me when I had hair. That was,
way back then they had photography, huh?
Yeah, they had photographers back then, colored. In 1965, that was taken shortly, a couple of days after I made 3rd class, to send home to the folks. That's the other thing. Your officers kind of stressed on you that you should get this done, send it home to the folks, let them know how you're doing, and we all did that. This is a picture of me and 2 guys that I served with on ship. One was a signalman 3rd class, and this guy here was a seaman that worked in supply. He was a cook. But these guys are brought home with me one weekend. We took the bus home from Norfolk to Elmira. It took us, I think, 12 hours to come home. We spent half the weekend on the bus. But this is at the Enlisted Men's Club down in Norfolk, and I was commenting to Bob that Budweiser 16-ounce cans were 20 cents a can then, and you could buy a pack of Bel Air menthol cigarettes for $1 a carton out at sea, So, things have changed.
Oh, yeah.
I was looking at my travel stuff too, Bob. And it's just my insignia for 2nd class and United States Navy emblem, and I kept an old ID card, and that's about all I've got in there right now.
Good.
I'll put some more stuff in there.
Good. Now, let me have your evaluation, if you will. I'd like to read this.
Yeah, I was thinking about something when you were talking about the cigarettes and that. The travel pay was amazing. A flight from Elmira to Philadelphia was $30.10, and they gave me $3.80 for a bus ticket from Philadelphia to Bainbridge, Maryland. So that was quite a thing when I was looking at this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
When I left Brooklyn Navy Yard to go to Norfolk to pick up the ship, they gave me 6 cents a mile. It was 490 something miles. I made $26.80.
You made,
well,
would you hitchhike down and put the money in your pocket?
No, I had to use that for bus.
Oh.
You know, but that was interesting.
Okay. Let me again, a lot of you guys have seen these eval forms, you know, and I'd just like to read it. Description of the assigned tasks, the MOS of your duty. Ship's postal clerk runs the ship's post office and has charge of all postal matters. He's a Division D CPO. Then down here's the evaluation. Sound pretty good. Moran has a sound knowledge of postal procedures and regulations and is especially aware of the importance of mail for the crew morale. He is diligent, honest, conscientious, and often works long hours to the detriment of his liberty to make sure that his men get their mail. Okay? So 1,600 was just a number. You went above and beyond the call. Now, it's all over and done with. You're retired, you've cashiered out. What's your life been since then? What did this help you do as far as making a living for yourself and your family?
Well, it helped immensely. I'm not quite sure that it didn't catapult me into the job that I finally ended up doing. I worked in retailing in Elmira after I got out of active duty. Continued to go to drills, but I worked in men's clothing. I worked for a company out of Jersey City, New Jersey, that initially started making men's shirts, and then from there they went into men's discount stores or discount stores all over the country. They leased departments. So I trained in a store in my hometown and got promoted within a year to a manager's job and ended up here in Pittsfield.
What was the brand or the name of the outfit?
Well, it was Unishops that I worked for, but they, like I said, they had leased departments in different discount chain stores all over the country. Unishops was like I said, a shirt shop out of New Jersey, and then they expanded into the discount field. But I worked for just about a year, and a district manager came in and said to me, you're ready to take a manager's job. We have one open for you out in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I thought Pittsfield was probably down there, Boston or something like that. I didn't know.
You flatlanders are like
I didn't know anything about Pittsfield or where it was, so I had to leave on a Friday and was here on a Monday morning and took the job.
Ready to roll.
And took the manager's job in the menswear department. In the meantime, about 2 weeks later, I met this gal who was in the ladies department. She was over in the ladies' underwear, and I was in the men's pants.
Sounds good. Sounds like an X-rated place.
Well, she was straightening the men's or the ladies' underwear, and I was over in the men's pants, straightening stuff up, and that's how we met. And I met her in April of '68, and we got married in November of '68.
Didn't waste much time.
A whirlwind courtship, you know, and so we'll be celebrating 39 years this year. So
great.
Yeah.
So it took.
Yeah, I have two boys. One is 38, and the other one is 36. So.
Are they in the reserve or anything like that? In
no,
the active duty?
They didn't choose to go military for whatever reasons of their own. And my one son, I know, took all the tests for the Navy, and the Navy wanted him, but he had other ideas of what he was going to do.
Good choice.
He took all the tests. He graduated from Williams College, and he certainly had the brains in the family, you know, from my wife's side of the family.
You're reading my mind.
He wanted, you know, he could have been a pilot or anything he wanted to do in the Navy, but he chose not to. So,
he's doing his thing, and hopefully he and his.
No, he's doing well. Both of them are doing well.
They got you any grandkids?
Yeah, I've got 2 grandchildren. One is 6 years old and the other is 4. Luke is my grandson and Julia Rose is my granddaughter.
Luke?
Luke Gabriel, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun and they keep you, keep you hopping. Yeah, they're really smart kids,
You kind of took me aback a bit on that. My daughter's only boy was named Luke, and he was born in the less than good circumstances, and he lasted for about 5 years. And even today, when I hear the word Luke,
Special.
it gets you,
Yeah, yeah. I know.
Well, so much for that. Now, what are you doing now that you're, if you will, relaxed and retired, and keeping out of trouble?
Well, I forgot to add that I left at retailing and ended up taking, in the meantime, while I was working in retailing, I took a test for the post office. And I became a clerk in the post office, and I retired after 32 years of working for the Postal Service here in Pittsfield.
So the Navy did give you a hand up on that job.
It gave me a foot in the door, I believe.
Yeah.
So all that training and that choice of that school helped.
Yeah, it all works.
Yeah, I worked here in Pittsfield for 32 years.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Now, adding it all up, is there any kind of words of wisdom or remembrances you'd like to share with us as to what's gone on and how it's affected you and how you think it's going to help you?
Well, the experience I got through the military was probably the most valuable experience that I could have gotten anywhere, even going to college, which I didn't. I didn't.
You didn't check the GI Bill.
I did, but I got so busy working in the mainstream, out there, and then things happen. You get married and blah blah blah.
You got to keep the rent up.
Yeah, so I didn't take advantage of that, but I feel for my life experience in the Navy at the time of my active duty and all the way through, I gained a lot of experience in life, life experience, which gave me good values, which I believe I already had anyway from my parents, and it strengthened those values, and I think it made me a better person,
Good.
I think it made me a lot better person than I probably would have been. Because I could have gotten in trouble just like any other kid.
It didn't take much training.
No, but it helped give me some discipline in my life too.
Yeah. Now, this has been said by a couple of people before you. That have you had that same feeling that you in turn are passing something on to your 2 boys, for example? Can they inherit anything from you either by your example or just sitting down and BSing with them? Hey, here's a thing, here's a choice. Take it every way you will, but notice I'm in back of you.
I think they have, and they still do. Both of my sons. I'm proud of them for what they've accomplished. My older boy and my younger boy. And I think probably when they need a hand, they know that I'm there to talk to them.
You're there, right?
I'm always there to talk to them.
And you don't
no
have
matter
to
what
ask.
it is. No matter what it is, they can come and talk to me about it.
That's darn good.
Yeah, those are the values that were given to me by my dad, and I'm sure passed on to him by his parents. So
that's good.
Yeah.
As the man says, it's that time to pull the plug and wrap it up.
Wow, that went
and
fast.
all I can say is, thank you, buddy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate all your service to the veterans and all of that the public cable TV station does here.
These are the guys that are doing it.
Yeah, they do a great job.
We're just the funnel.
They do a great job. I'm glad they're here to do this for the vets.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
As we say, it's time to say goodbye again, but we'll be back. In the meantime, though, again, another appeal to the women out there who served in any branches of the service. Please, if you will, share some of those experiences with us, because you gals did one heck of a job that made it possible for a lot of us to live through what we did. Okay? The name is Bob Stevens. You know how to get a hold of me. You're more than welcome, and we'll see to it that you have a good time. Thank you, and goodbye.